Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Vimal Singh and in this particular video, we will be discussing how we can install System Center Configuration Manager from the very scratch. We do not have anything. We will just go with a standard virtual machine and we'll try to install everything from the scratch. But before checking practically, we will understand there are too many prerequisites we have for System Center Configuration Manager. So what this prerequisite are and why we should have those before installing the System Center Configuration Manager. So let's get started. First understand their prerequisite and we'll see complete installation from the scratch. Okay, so let's prepare for SCCM installation and let's have a look what are the prerequisite we have for this System Center, or you can say Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager. And understanding of this becomes very important, or you can say necessary, because if you don't have proper setup in the foundation, so you will not create a stable or efficient System Center Configuration Manager environment. So this particular, you can say, session will help you to understand why uh, we should have this component before installing this System Center Configuration Manager. As you can see on the screen, I have break it down in 10 steps, what exactly we have to do and what should be there as prerequisite. So let's get started. Okay, so before we even touch the System Center Configuration Manager server itself, we must prepare our Active Directory. And you can see there are three important things that we need to do on Active Directory. The first one, we are going to extend the Active Directory schema. And for that, we are getting one command from the System Center Configuration Manager installer, that is extend adschema.exe. extadsch.exe, exactly command you will get it. What exactly it does, it basically adds SCCM specific classes to Active Directory. It's like you got a new language, how we are going to make your Active Directory understand this SCCM new language. So by installing or adding their specific classes into their schema. The second thing is create the system management container. This is again one location, I would say, inside the Active Directory, and that is designed to keep your site information. So that site information will get published to this particular point. And finally, we need to give the permission to our future SCCM server. We have to give the full control on the container. And the purpose, as you can see, it allows the site server to write and manage its data in Active Directory. If it doesn't have write, it is not going to publish or keep their information inside the Active Directory. So the problem would be what? Management point or their location won't be visible to the clients. So management of client will become difficult. It doesn't have write. SQL Server, brain of your System Center Configuration Manager. So this, if I talk about System Center Configuration Manager, is basically entirely data driven. And this is where every piece of information lives. I mean, the SQL Server. From your hardware inventory of your 10,000 machines to the status of a single application deployment that you did through the System Center Configuration Manager. So you must have a server database engine. You also need a SQL Server reporting service or SSRS, and this is non-negotiable. If you want to use System Center powerful reporting features to show how things works, like patch compliance or the software distribution success rate or any other information that you would like to fetch. So you must have SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Service. And the other features like full text search. So during the SQL installation, we must make sure that full text search is being selected. So the System Center console can use it to quick search the things from there. And finally, you will use the SQL native client, or you can say ODBC driver must be present, and it is the bridge that allows this System Center Configuration Manager server to talk to the database. So you must select search engine reporting service, ODBC driver, and you can say any other SQL native client. Now we will prepare the Windows server that will become our System Center Configuration Manager site server, and several key Windows features are required at this place. First and foremost is IAS, the web server. Core SCCM role like management point, or you can say distribution point, are essentially web services. And client communicate with them over HTTP or HTTPS. And IAS makes this possible. So you must have Internet Information Service. Then we also enable bits and RDC, and these are your network traffic heroes. Like bits ensures that large policy or content transfer don't cripple your network, while RDC saves immense bandwidth by only sending the changed part of the file, not the whole thing over and again and again. So this two component must be there. And finally, we have .NET Framework 3.5. .NET 3.5, it's an older dependency, but the prerequisite. If you have not installed it on your system, your installation will not work, or your installation will stop without this. So make sure you have .NET Framework 3.5 installed. Okay, so to unlock one of, you can say, System Center Configuration Manager most powerful feature, that is operating system deployment, we must have Windows ADK and Windows PE installed. So if I talk about this ADK, that ADK gives you a tool to customize and deploy your Windows. And if I talk about Windows PE, that is the lightweight operating system that a computer boots into before we install the full version of Windows. So if you plan to build or re-image machines, then it becomes mandatory. And finally, we get the actual SCCM installation files. So the best practice is to use the latest available version, and the installer package is small. So the first step is to run the prerequisite downloader, and this tool will connect to Microsoft and download all the specific cabinet files and redistributables needed for the installation of System Center Configuration Manager successfully. So you must have that media and ADK WinPE as per your requirement. Okay, so let's do the final pre-flight check. We have prepared our Active Directory, configured our SQL Server, installed the necessary features on our host server, and downloaded the required toolkits and media. Once all these pieces are in place, you have built a solid foundation, and you're now ready to launch the SCCM installer and begin the final step of your process. Taking the time to get this prerequisite is very important. And even it takes the time, but it will save a countless hours of troubleshooting down the road. So make sure you have everything in place, then only you can trigger the setup. So let's get started and see how we can do that practically. Okay, let's see how we can do the installation. First, I have downloaded the SQL Server installer. And if I'll go to my download folder, inside that, as you can see, we have SQL Server installer. Now let's execute setup.exe, and there you will get the installation option. So once it loads their installer, there you can see we have left installation, and we need to click on new SQL Server standalone installer. There we have to go with this evaluation or the product key. In my scenario, evaluation, accept term and condition, next. Now we need to check the prerequisite. As you can see, it has detected firewall. In my case, firewall is enabled. In production, you must enable the respective port in your firewall. In my scenario, I'm going to turn off this firewall right now. So to disable this firewall, you have multiple approaches to do that. In my experience, I prefer to go with this network properties. So right click, go to the network properties, and there you have this option to do this. You have again multiple way to check it out. Generally, this is for the network setting, but I'm using it to disable the firewall. In the left hand side down there, you can see Windows Firewall, and as you can see, this is currently on. I'm going to turn it off for all the domains like public, private, and the domain network. Now, once this firewall is disabled, now I'll go and rerun this check and we'll go for installation. There I'm going to select this database engine and the full text and semantic semantic option, right? Extraction option. As we discussed why it is important, we are going to pick this too. If anything else is required, you can pick it accordingly. Now, here the instance ID, I'm going with the default instance ID. Now I'm going to select the service account. As you can see, for SQL Server Agent or SQL Server Database, we have to specify the dedicated account. Right now I'm in a test environment, so I'm going to install it with the administrator account. So I will pick the administrator, that is my domain administrator. And also for the database engine, I'm going to pick the same user, administrator. So I'll go to the advanced, find now, and select this administrator. Now click on OK. And there I'll specify the password for both the account. That is my default password. I mean, for the domain, I'm going to keep it here. Same password for this account because it's the same account. One more thing we need to specify here, that is a startup type. So make sure this startup type should be automatic. Otherwise, sometime it gives you error manually. If it didn't get a start explicitly, you need to go and do that. So it's better to make sure the startup type is automatic for all your service accounts. Now next, here we will select the current user for your engine configuration. And after that, this will check entire prerequisite and all the settings. Now click on install and this will start installing your SQL Server. So successfully we have installed the SQL Server. Now we are going to download this ODBC driver as we talked why it is required in System Center Configuration Manager. So directly I'm downloading from Microsoft website. That's the ODBC driver for SQL Server and 64-bit I'm installing. Downloading. Once it is downloaded, I'll go and try to install this. This installation process is very simple and quick. So I'll accept their term and condition, license agreement, next, and install it. So it's done. Quickly we have installed it. Now let's go back and try to install SQL Server Reporting Server. That is again important. As we discussed why it is important. So let's go to their download location. And here I'm downloading this reporting server. Let's double click on their installer. Now, as you can see, I triggered this installation. I'm going with the evaluation copy that is for 180 days. Let's accept their license terms. Now next and install it. Once it is installed, you can configure this report server right now, or you can do it later as well. So we are getting this option configure report server. So depends on your requirement. You want to do it right now, you can do it. Now I'm going to install this Windows ADK. We already talked about it, why ADK is required. So I'm going to download this Windows ADK installer. And Windows PE is also required. So first I'll go with this Windows ADK. In my case, this Windows ADK is already installed. That's the reason I'm getting this change and download. If I'll go to the change here, from the change option, you can change whatever is required or anything else that you don't need, remove it. Let's cancel it because as I mentioned, it is already installed in my environment. But WinPE is not installed. So I'm going to download Windows PE, and we already discussed why it is required. So as you can see on the same Windows ADK downloader portal, Microsoft has given you this WinPE. So we can download this WinPE. Let's download and install it. There you can see we are getting this option, accept term and condition, license agreement. And there you can see, make sure the checkbox is enabled. And this is how this WinPE is installed on the system. After that, I'm going to install .NET 3.5. To install it, you must have the DVD of operating system, and you need to specify the location from where it is going to install it. So that's the location, and I'll click on the install. Now this is getting installed on our server. Now, once it is installed, as we talked, we also need to install bits and RDS. So RDC basically. So there we'll go and select this bits feature and RDC. So if you scroll it down, there you will find RDC as well, remote differential compression. Now next, and install it. There is one more thing that you must make sure that you have Internet Information Service. So I'm just going to check. It is already installed in my system, but I'll show you. That's a way through which you can install this Internet Information Service. In my case, it is already installed. Now I'm going to download this MECM, and that's the current branch we are downloading. This is being downloaded, and as you can see, this installer is there. Basically, it's extractor. So if I'll go to that place, now double click on this and find the location wherever you want to extract it. By default, this would be the location, but I'm going to change it, and I'll create a folder in a C drive where I'll go and extract it. So that's the place in a C drive. I'll go and execute it. Yeah, MECM folder that I have created, selected OK. Now extract it. So it will extract all the file to that folder. Now I'm inside the MECM. The first thing what I'll do is I'll extend my Active Directory schema. And for that, I'll go to the SMS setup bin 64. And inside that 64, you will get this executable file that will extend your schema. So you need to look for that file, and that file must be located in the location which you can see currently, which is bin x64. If I'll scroll it down, there we go. We found something called extdsch.exe. You just need to double click on it because we are already member of the domain wherever we are trying to install it. So just double click and the schema will get extended. Once it is extended, you can make sure by going to the C drive, and there you will find this log file that says your schema is extended now. Now, let's go to this Active Directory server and we will give the permission to our System Center Configuration Manager server. This basically helps you, this ADSI edit helps you to connect your Active Directory partitions. As you can see right now, we are connected to configuration partition and domain naming context partition. You need to provide the permission through the domain naming context. Configuration partition doesn't allow, it doesn't have system. So if I'll go inside this default naming context, there you will find, uh, you can say object called system. Let's expand this domain. There you will see system. There we go. Right click and then go to the properties of it. There you have a security tab, and the security tab helps you to give the permission. This attribute editor will give you all the attribute information related to that object. It depends, to explore and find, you can do it from there. But to give the permission, click on security, go to the advanced. From the advanced button, you have to select your computer. So there I'm going to click on add button. Now I'll select the principal. And by default, it is not designed to explore your computer. So I'll go to the object type and select the computer. And then I'll look for the computer, whatever we decided to install System Center Configuration Manager. In my case, it is SEA SVR2. So I'll look for SEA, and there I'm getting this SEA SVR2. Now select OK and then click on OK. Now we'll select the full control, and here you make sure that it should apply to this object and all descendant objects. That is the point you must keep in your mind while assigning or giving the permission. You must select your right principal and go with this object and all descendant object. Okay, now click on OK and make sure that you have given the right permission. So once we can click on edit, we will have the same permission which we have selected for the computer. So I selected the computer and I'm just re-verifying the permissions are correctly or not. Now we will click on apply and OK. We can also check it out that computer must get listed at this place with the full control. Once it is done, now let's go back to the System Center server, and there I'm going to execute the installer. So here we can go with this SMS setup, or we have this splash. So you can click on splash. That is the better way. It gives you the clear visibility. So open it. Just double click. That will also work. Depends on what you have on your system. Now, if you can see that splash is loading that installer, and there we will go to first thing do is download required prerequisite files. We can do it while installing it as well, but that's not the right approach. So first I'm going to download this prerequisite. For that, I'm going to create a particular folder. I'm in location. There it will download from the internet and store it. So I'm creating a folder. Let's give a name for SCCM Prerequisite REQ and then say OK. Now what it will do, it will download everything, all the prerequisite file from the internet and store it to that location. Once it is there, now we will initiate the installation of the SCCM, and that's the way to do this. Click on install button. Once you clicked on install, now this is before you begin, make sure you're following everything and you're getting this more options. First, install a configuration manager primary site. The second that you can see, install a configuration manager central administration site, and so on. We have upgrade to this, recover a site, perform maintenance, or reset this site, or we have uninstall this configuration manager. We will go with the first option, and we have one checkbox that tells you use typical installation option for a standalone primary site. Means default primary site, default installation path, configure SQL Server with the default setting, and everything. It depends. So let's go with this checkbox and click on next. There it says, right now we are installing this typical installation with the primary site. Later, if I wish to change it and put it under the hierarchy of, you can say structure, then we can do it. So let's go with that. And here asking, do you want to continue? Yes. Now we will go with the evaluation copy it. Let's go to next. Now let's accept their term and license. Next. And here we will specify the location of the prerequisite file that we have already downloaded. So go to browse, select the location. In our case, we have already created a folder inside the SCCM, I mean C drive, SCCM prerequisite. Let's select that folder, click on OK. Now it will take all their prerequisite from that location. Okay. So now it seems completed. Okay. Here you need to define the site code. So it must have the 3 character. So in my scenario, I'm giving S01 and then the site name. It can be anything, depends on your requirement. For example, Contoso headquarters. So I'm giving CHQ and that's the installation folder location. Now this is diagnostic. After that, we have a service connection point configuration. And right now I'm going with the same server acting as a service connection point. So let's go with it. Or you can have proxy server. That address you can also specify at this place. Even you can do it later. Now here it is checking all the setup components. Do you have configured everything or not? And now here at this place, it is checking all the prerequisite. If you have any prerequisite missing, you will get that warning error message there. Now we initiated the installation process and it takes more than an hour. As you can see, it's completed. I just first fast forwarded it and you have the complete log that you can check it out. Let's close it. Now let's see if it is successfully installed, we must have System Center Configuration Manager accessible. So I clicked on the Configuration Manager console and here you can see we are able to access this console, I mean Configuration Manager. There is one more thing. Let's download this SQL Server Management Studio so we can check it out, our database, their connectivity and everything. So for that, I'm downloading this SSMS SQL Server Management Studio. That's the latest one. So just extract it and it will take some time to get installed. So let's initiate it. So now this installation has started. I mean, downloading is started. Now here you are getting this SMS core component and we can install this component on our system. Let's install it. Once this installation will get complete, you will have similar experience as you can see. Now, once it is installed, we will go to this SQL Server Management Studio from this particular place. Click there and this is how it will load on your system. Once it is loaded, now you will connect to your database. So you can go with through browse. Either you can have SQL Server in your network or maybe the local server. In my case, it is on local server. So I'm going to pick it from here only. Now click on connect. And there we go. Your SQL Server is connected now. And your, you can say SCCM is also available and accessible. So this is how we can install this complete System Center Configuration Manager. Okay, so I hope you got an idea what exactly it is and how we can do the installation of System Center Configuration Manager. Thank you so much for watching and see you in next.